After settling its criminal charges this past November, this week marks the start of the long-awaited trial to assess BP's liability for civil penalties and environmental damages to the Gulf of Mexico. In the end, damages and penalties could put BP's final price tag for the spill at $90 billion, delivering a sizable amount of money directly to the affected states. While recovery has been ongoing since the spill began, one overarching question is what will be the long-term effects of up to 4.1 million barrels of spilled oil and the company's use of the dispersant Corexit on this very complex ecosystem. Of the many challenges facing the Gulf of Mexico's restoration community following the BP spill, perhaps the most challenging is that unlike other national waterways, after years of underservice, this community did not have a full assessment of its natural wildlife and habitats at the time of the accident.
If this thing had happened in California, there would have been a significantly different response than what we have seen here.
Speaking with groups working toward Gulf recovery, whether their concern is marine mammals or coastal birds, a picture emerges that compared to the rest of the country, from an ecological perspective, this region had been left behind.
We really had a relatively little or small database on what bird populations were.
The federal government has really not kept up with the stock assessments. The oldest stock assessment for dolphins was in 1993, so you don't know what percentage of animals were lost.
So when the spill occurred, we were, it's going to be interesting to see how we evaluate what we lose, if anything, because we really didn't have a really good database on what was out there.
And not having data, it's very, very difficult to make now new assumptions as to how to correct a situation for which we don't have the baseline data.
Despite the dollar amount, a settlement would allow these organizations to release a flood of data. For Dr. Salangi, this means releasing his findings on what might be behind the substantial rise in dead dolphins in the Gulf of Mexico.
All the information that we have has to be kept in confidence. It can't be revealed, and the federal government is responsible for using that data as it sees fit in this litigation.
And for Mr. LaSalle, the ability to release their tally on what the impact was on the bird populations.
Good question. And again, a lot of that information is tied up in the legal, NRDA process right now. We probably won't know the exact answer for many, many years. We think in thousands, if not more, hundreds of thousands of birds probably were lost. A lot of marine mammals probably were lost. And again, I couldn't give you a figure, but it's significant.
Combine this ambiguity with the reality that a settlement is an attempt to quantify a damage that might never fully be understood, and you have all the ingredients for a storm of litigation.
What's the value for you and me sitting here right now knowing that I can go out to that front beach and watch the beautiful terns? How much is that worth to you? But it is hard to put a dollar value on the actual things you lose because we really don't quite understand that link.
A resolution in the court case, while perhaps closing a chapter in the BP oil spill saga, won't answer what the long-term environmental impacts will be on the Gulf of Mexico. While it will bring a substantial amount of money to the groups working to restore the area, the fact that it's taken this long to reach an agreement will only make their work that much more difficult. Christopher Booker, Financial Times, Gulfport, Mississippi.